continue with the conversation on sincerity, I want to reference an authority who is celebrated in the evangelical circles. D.L. Munde said, "Character is what you are in the dark. Your character is who you are when nobody is watching." Now, when you talk about sincerity, you're talking about a high sense of integrity, which usually is considered to be the foundation of good relationships. So you need to know, as a leader, your character matters. And I was watching a very, very interesting conversation that took place in the US, where a very young service commander in the military sought to have an appointment with the current president. And the president was first hesitant, but he got so impressed when he read the track record in the file of the young lady and the way she has risen in the ranks. But I admired the sincerity of this military person, a lady, who said how she had lived with the burden of a sense of responsibility because of an action that she called for that resulted to the death of one of the servicemen. And now, as a leader, she had lived a sense of wondering how many people in leadership make decisions that cause pain, and sometimes nobody cares about it. And very interesting, after talking to the president, which was a very, very rare opportunity, the president demanded that what she has told him, whether she can tell the whole world. And she was given an opportunity in the newsroom of the White House to tell the whole story like she has told the president. And it was such a bold thing for her to stand and be able to say that there are so many people who suffer silently, and it's important to appreciate that those in leadership sometimes make decisions that cause pain, but as a leader, sometimes you cannot be indecisive. And this is talking about sincerity, that somebody could come out and talk about a pain they have lived with, and they wanted to say, it is important to understand that those people who are in responsibility of leadership sometimes will call for an action that may not work out the way they expect, but how important is it to empathize with the people who suffer consequences that are negative? And I thought that was a very, very great, brilliant example. Now, when we talk about aspects of sincerity, we also can talk about a sincere person being somebody who is dependable. The Word of God in the book of Proverbs gives a lot of examples about the tragedy of relying or depending on an unfaithful person. Some of the examples given is about a broken teeth or a foot out of joint. You are counting on an unreliable and dependable people. So dependability is a very, very important quality in sincerity. Proverbs chapter number 25 and verse 14 says, people who promise things that they never give are like crowds and weeds that bring no rain. People who promise things that they never give are like crowns and weeds that bring no rain. It is important to know that when you are entrusted in leadership in any capacity, whatever forum, you need to be somebody who cultivates that aspect of dependability, that people can count on you and come around and make yourself vulnerable by being truthful in saying what is the difficulties. We in the country of Kenya have been treated to a lot of situations which resort to strikes that inconvenience patients in hospital or students, because the unions have called for industrial action. And most of the time you hear that, listen, this is what had been promised, never delivered. And we celebrate some of the people who are reputed for having been promise keepers. And it's important to be someone who is very, very deliberate in giving promises that you purpose to fulfill. And if something comes on the way, because again, there are circumstances that can come that can make it difficult to keep a promise you gave, you can still come out in sincerity and be able to explain, this was my intention, but because of this circumstance and this circumstance, this is a promise I could not fulfill. So it is also important to appreciate this core of sincerity as a core and responsibility of anyone who is a leader and who has been entrusted with the responsibility of leadership. One of my philosophical statements of leadership is that leadership is a trust between the led and the leader. And if this trust is broken, it can be very tragic. And there are very few people who have the courage and the boldness to resign when they realize they have violated the principles of leadership. They are not living true to what is expected. Therefore, today, I want to make a passionate appeal. If you are a leader, the question I have for you is, are you dependable? Can you be counted on? Can you give a promise and people can say, we know this which this leader has promised, they are committed to fulfill. It is a tough call, and it is for all of us. And I know how many times, even with the best of intentions, a leader may fall short of a promise they have given. But what is important is that the same leader can go public and be able to say, I'm so sorry that this is what the intentions were, but the circumstances that are there have made it difficult to fulfill this promise. That's still part of the sincerity we're talking about. So I make a passionate call, a passionate appeal from those of us who are entrusted in church leadership. There are so many examples I remember, especially in the early part of developing the building where we are, where I could really have a crucial conversation, tough conversation with the contractor because of an expectation. Because I used to tell the congregation, within the next 2 weeks, this is where we hope to be. And then the contractor fails to do it and had to go back to the congregation to explain. So important that you can choose to be reliable, dependable. You can choose to be a person of integrity. Thank you as you continue to engage with us in this conversation.